Hello, everyone. Welcome to Youth Bombs, your favorite armchair warriors. I'm Coleman.
And I'm Dominic.
Today, we are talking about AmFest 2024. That is America Fest 2024. This is Turning Point's largest conservative conference that they held and hold each year. Now, where is this? This is in a little place called Phoenix, Arizona. If you've heard of it, it is where the Phoenix Suns play, and that's the basketball team. Now, this is a huge conference. I think last time I checked, it was like 20,000 people showed up, and it was like the biggest one they've had yet. And this was very much more of like a celebratory kind of a conference, where it's like, hell yeah, we won the election, woo, and now let's celebrate. And then there's, oh my gosh, yeah, so many people. To give the basics, they separate into a media row, a VIP section, a student section, basically a whole networking area where you see like businesses and whatnot, and then the speaker arena where you see all your favorite conservative warriors talk about and give, the movement and give inspiring speeches. So, Dominic, why did you go to this event this year?
Well, the main reason I went is because we won. And
Woo!
I knew it was going to be the largest event that Turning Point had ever hosted, just because of the excitement with us winning the election. And I knew there would be a lot of young conservatives there. And, it would be a good networking opportunity to meet some like-minded individuals. And another reason I went is that it was in Phoenix. And I had never been to Phoenix, so I thought it would just be cool to go. And, yeah, it was a really nice city.
Yeah, I agree. And I went I signed up in advance because I knew that President Trump loves to go to these events. And he's gone to them pretty much annually, I think even starting from like 2016. So even before he announced, I was like, okay, I'm signing up for this before the prices spike. So I got my tickets, and then lo and behold, the announcement came. And then now everyone wants to go. And we can get into all the fun stories and why you should go this year in 2025. Probably it'll be around December. And yeah, so Dominic, what were your favorite stories getting into this event?
Well, my favorite part of the event was definitely seeing Tucker Carlson. He's my hero. I've always wanted to see him in person, and, he's absolutely just based and hysterical. So, yeah, getting to see him speak was just, one of my biggest dreams. And, yeah, also, of course, seeing Donald Trump himself. It was my second time seeing him in person, and I'll definitely, take advantage of any opportunity I can get to see the president.
Yep. And then let's see. So I guess your hero, huh? Tucker Carlson. Did your family grow up watching Fox News and that? Then is that how you got to know him?
Well, my parents aren't as political, but I grew up watching Fox News.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Pretty early on.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I always watched Tucker growing up.
Cool. And yeah, I have a lot of funny stories, but and of course, probably the favorite part was, we'll just skip to the main event, which was, seeing President Trump speak. I remember getting up at around, I think it was like 3 a.m. There's already people in line by this time in the morning. And then of course, when I get there in line, probably around like 4:30, I see like, swarms of people already in line. And then chatting people up. And of course, as you get closer and closer to the line, one of the funniest parts was just seeing, oh, look, there's like someone's whole Starbucks breakfast meal. Oh, look, someone just brought their bed sheets and pillows and camped out. And that was hilarious to see. And then, of course, the speech itself was, Trump's an entertainer, so it was funny to watch. And it was my first time seeing him in person, too. So what else is there to say on this matter? Some other unexpected things. James O'Keefe can DJ, ladies and gentlemen. He knows how to dance. And he hosted a rave Friday night. It was pretty rad. And of course, since I'm older than 21, I got to go have full access. People under 21 stayed, in the restricted area.
Yeah, we had a very small designated section.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, it had a slow start, but then eventually, as it picked up, they tried to have the DJ, like, they had some nice club music going, and then they tried to switch to like country for a little bit. Wasn't vibing. And then once James O'Keefe came along, it was bumping. There's dancers and they were doing outfit swaps. They had like freaking swan dresses with like lights on it. There's people like, I think there's hula hoops. There's someone like dancing from like a hula hoop from the ceiling. And I left before this, but I saw later there was like there was like one girl that brought torches, and it was just basically doing that thing you see in Hawaii, where they're like pretending to breathe fire. When you think conservatism, you don't normally think this. Like, usually think, oh, gee, conservatives are kind of boring, and all they care about is politics. But hey, we know how to fun. We know how to have fun too. Would you agree, Dominic?
Yeah, definitely. They know how to have a good time.
And then a couple other funny things. They also, Dominic, did you do the speed dating thing?
No, I was too late to register.
Too late to register. Yes, and another part of that event was a speed dating thing. Basically, if you know the Vogue magazine, the conservative version of that hosted it. Their magazine is called The Conservateur, and I think Old Row is the other co-sponsor of that event. Basically, it's like, you're for an hour and a half straight. You're talking for 2 minutes at a time with each person, and then like each girl, and then like the guys, of course, and then they rotate, and it was exhausting because it was so loud. And I had to yell basically the entire time, but it was fun. And I think the student lunch also had a cool little dance floor as well. I think something else I want to comment on was the parallel economy aspect of it. Dominic, did you see any of the tables or like in the networking area? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I did stop by some of the tables there. I spoke to a lot of great people, a lot of podcasters that I've watched before.
Okay.
And, also some conservative organizations that I might potentially get involved with in the future that are doing great stuff, trying to get more young conservatives involved. So, yeah.
So who did you speak to specifically? Like anyone in particular? Like, who are some of your favorite podcasters?
I don't remember. Well, remember the one we both spoke to? What was his name?
Oh, well, Vince Dow?
Yeah.
He was... Oh, yeah, I think he was in the middle of, like, broadcasting. Vince Dow, for those of you that don't know, is one of us. He's a Gator and still in school. And he's currently in the e-board of Turning Point. And he was broadcasting. We didn't get to talk to him, but we got to saw him record, which was cool. And I could talk a little bit more about who I saw. Like, there's an interesting aspect of, like, there's, like, a couple companies that are about like investing in gold and diversifying. There's the conservative version of Robinhood, which is called Monorail. Like, do you use Robinhood at all? Like the investing app?
No, I have not.
Yeah. I mean, some people are into it, and then a lot of what I've noticed is like how they market themselves is like we're conservative, and basically our investments in the options we're giving you are basically like in line with the Bible, which I think a lot of people would, buy into that. And another interesting part about Monorail is like they were twins, the co-founders, and they were both UF Gators as well, which was interesting. I think there's Bank USA, that's the conservative version of PayPal. And then I'm trying to think of, I think Investor Capital, I don't know. There's one other version that was like basically the conservative version of Vanguard. But anyway, yeah. You basically have in front of you the whole outline of the alternative parallel economy. Have you heard of that concept before, Dominic? Like this whole thing about the parallel economy, and like, no, yes,
no, I'm not too familiar.
You're not too familiar with it. Okay, so I can explain a bit. Basically, like what's been happening slowly, especially during the pandemic, and like businesses were locking people out of business due to like, well, you don't have the jab. Is that we're working to try to create a network of the based companies. And so over time, like one of the first things that came out was Public Square. Public Square is basically, it's kind of like Google Maps, but not the navigation part, but specifically like the business search part of it, where it can like search, hey, I need a based, welder or a dog groomer, and then they network that way. Do you think do you think it's worth like, because I have conflicted feelings about this, where it's like I recognize the value immensely, but it's also a matter of like how effective is this actually? I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'm like, do you think this is a worthy cause, or do you think it's a waste of time?
Well, I think it could potentially be a worthy cause.
Okay.
But we have to see, it's a relatively newer concept, so we just have to see how it goes.
Right. And then, like, even, I don't know, with, like, Truth Social, it was supposed to be an alternative to, like, X when they were, like, Twitter when they were censoring. And then Truth Social had a fair amount of traction. Did you ever get Truth Social or no?
Yes, I do have Truth Social, and
yeah.
I definitely think that a few years ago that was a great thing. Some of these more conservative social media platforms starting up, but now things have changed a bit. Recently, like we talked about last week, X has relaxed some of their censorship policies, and just most social media companies overall have started to allow for more freedom of speech. So it's not as relevant of an issue as it was a few years ago, but I think when it first released, Truth Social was pretty revolutionary for conservatives.
Right. And then have you also, this is another part of the conversation, I also remember I think a couple years ago, there's all these boycotts of like, they had freaking, what's her name? I don't recall. Bud Light, you remember the Bud Light thing?
Oh, yes.
Like, who was the person who, like, Dylan Mulvaney, right? Dylan Mulvaney advertises beer, and then, like, the boycott happens, and I'm not even sure, like, was that effective? I don't know. Like, that boycott.
For Bud Light?
Yeah, was it actually, like, effective or no?
Well, yes, I do think that for a decent amount of time, they did see a decline in their sales. And I think that, boycotts are a good thing for these companies that are pushing woke ideology. And, like, we also saw with Target a few years back.
Right.
Like, they were, I don't remember all the details, but they had, like, a section with, what was it? Some sort of clothing? Or
Oh, you mean at the conference? Or
no, I'm talking about Target. How?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So basically what happened, the context he's referring to is Target was basically advertising LGBTQIA+, whatever it is now, to minors, and that's not okay for obvious reasons, because you're not supposed to be sexualizing minors. So then that, of course, that sparked that boycott, and then I think that was actually effective, right? Because then you saw like Target walk that back shortly after.
Yeah. So, yep, I do think that that's something that's usually more associated with the left, like boycotting brands and stuff. But I think as conservatives, we should start doing it more. And as we've seen in some recent examples, it is effective. And it's the only way we're going to put an end to this woke ideology overtaking the youth.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do is like gauge how much influence do we have as a movement now. And another thing I think we're gaining traction. And another thing we've talked about, another thing you notice with like the left, they have a very solid network of like door knockers, ballot chasers, campaigners, etc. And you even saw it in Alachua County. I remember where it's like, I'm trying to find a place to like set up and hand out lit, right? And then eventually what happened was like every place I go to, there's like Democrats there already set up and handing out lit, and there's no Republicans. So they have their networks figured out. Granted, Florida's not really, it's more of a safe haven for us. And granted, Alachua County's, a Democrat stronghold, give or take, whatever. My point is, Republicans in the past haven't really had the hustle in them to get the ballot. But now, this year, Turning Point was Action was talking a lot about how they secretly, or not secretly, but like silently hired, I think, didn't they say 2,000 ballot chasers? And then they put them in Wisconsin and Arizona, and they were hugely effective. Like, we're talking bringing back, thousands of votes. And And it just goes to show that, hey, I think we're starting to finally have some teeth. You know, I mean, I think that's an exciting part about, this moment in time.
Yeah, that is definitely something that was emphasized by multiple speakers at the event. I think especially, Scott Pressler made a big deal about that, and that is really what made the difference in those battleground states, is that we actually went out there on the ground and chased those ballots. Because, as you said, that's something that the left has done a really good job of doing over the last few decades, and we need to start doing that as well at the same level or even more in order to secure those battleground states where even a couple, maybe tens of thousands of votes will make the difference in us winning.
All right, and that being said, so yes, I think Turning Point overall, like Turning Point USA, Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action, and Turning Point Faith are at the forefront of this conservative movement here, because they're networking, they're building a coalition, and they have teeth, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to get involved, just keep the lookout for further events hosted by them in the future. And that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe on our Rumble YouTube channels. And if you have any inquiries, if you love us, if you hate us, let us know at youthbombs@alachroadrepublicans.com. Thank you so much for watching, and good day.